So I've been speaking to a lot of people who are using Dagster Plus, and they've been complaining that they've been hit by price increases. But something that they don't know how to do is migrate away from something like Dagster Plus to something like Orchestra. So what I did was I had Fable create a project for me and see if it could migrate it. And it turns out that with skills, Fable was able to migrate the entire project to Orchestra in less than 15 minutes. So in this video, I'm going to show you how. Okay, so firstly, let's take a look at the setup. We have an entire Dagster repo with a few pipelines that I actually got AI to generate for us. We've got some ELT jobs using Fivetran. We have some data quality testing. Obviously, we've got DBT in there with DBT Core, and you can see an example of that project here. This is a DBT project with multiple models. And then there's also a load of Python code that is in here as well. And if we head into that, you'll see that we've got lots of people, lots of syntax. People call the sort of golden cage, because after you've written stuff like this, it's quite hard to get it out. And we're going to get Fable to convert this to pure Python. Gary, who's our head of data, wrote a load of really awesome skills that can help to migrate things across. If I take this arbitrary example, we'll see that we are giving our AI a skill to migrate a Power BI task, so triggering and refreshing a Power BI dashboard from Dagster to Orchestra. And you can find these in the description in this video. Okay, now let's take a look at our Dagster environment. I've only done one run, but you can see that if I head over to jobs, I've got all sorts of other little jobs. So we can take a look at this data quality job. And if we want to kick off a run, just so we can see what's happening, sort of go down here, press launch run. And now we'll be running things. So these all work. These are all actual jobs connected to actual things. And now we're going to show you how to migrate them. Okay, so migrating stuff is really easy. I literally just said, go into the repo and migrate this Dagster project and make a note of where the environment variables are so that CLAUDE and Fable has the ability to actually test this. You'll see that this is Opus, but when I ran this before, I was using Fable, but I have a feeling Opus would be perfectly fine. What we recommend doing is in your repo where you have your Dagster project, you can get the AI to write your Orchestra pipelines in that same repo, and then that way the repo doesn't change and you don't need to overcomplicate authenticating to your Git provider. And we'll see that, Fable has basically worked through some stuff. It didn't quite like UV, but then it started this migrate Dagster to Orchestra task. It's loaded a bunch of skills which it needs to do depending on the specific specific Dagster features you've got. You'll see here, for example, it's looking at this IO, so input-output manager, but there are a bunch of other ones you might want to use, like, the alerting functionality and definitely the DBT functionality. And the end result is essentially that it's created 4 pipeline YAML files, and I can show you what they look like here because it's given us all of the different Orchestra links. Let's go take a look at what this all looks like in Orchestra. So you can see that we have a bunch of stuff, which is awesome. And, you might say, oh, well, there's nothing on main. That's good, because actually we don't want to update our main branch just yet. You'll see that actually we've generated a pipeline on a specific branch. And if I click view in GitHub, we'll see that in that DAG converter repo, we now have all of that long Python Dagster code expressed in some really, really, really concise, easy to read YAML. If we head back to Orchestra, we can see exactly what's happened. In this case, we've got a pretty simple chain of a couple of Python steps. But, we've run stuff, we've got our debug logs, we've got our command logs, and everything has run successfully, which is really cool. If we head over to the failing pipeline, we'll see that actually, though the pipeline itself is failing, that's not a problem. And the reason for that is that one of the steps in the pipeline is running a data quality test. So just checking to see if some of the data that we're processing is actually up to standard. And there's not actually an issue with the test. There's an issue with, there's not an issue with the code, but there's an issue with the test. And we could open this with the agent and ask out, what's going on here, which is pretty cool. Okay, let's take a look at the DBT pipeline. We can see here that we have actually managed to port over all of the DBT into Orchestra, and you can see all of those lovely logs. In Dagster, they have this really great feature, which is, sort of like asset-aware orchestration. In Orchestra, we have this too, but we also put in the state. So the state-aware orchestration that's currently gated behind the Fusion engine in DBT, this is also in Orchestra too. And if you head over to the top right-hand corner and select Show Operations, you can see everything that's run, which is really, really, really awesome to see. And the best part about all of this is that when it comes to identifying trends and gathering all of this metadata and viewing all of this lineage, and also having a place where you can evaluate data quality, all of this is actually here in Orchestra automatically. You don't need to do anything else. You don't need to integrate this with any additional plugins. All of this data is all here, and the best part is you've got all the lineage as well. So that is essentially how we used Fable to not only migrate, but also to build an entire Dagster repo and migrate it to Orchestra. This didn't really take that many credits, but I imagine if you had a bigger project, it might. But it was pretty quick, and the best part of all of this is that because your DBT fundamentally doesn't need to change, and because your Python really doesn't need to change that much to get into Orchestra, because everything in Orchestra is just a YAML file. The migration is actually really, really, really quick. And the best part is that we've written all of these skills for you to make it easier. So, if you are currently suffering from increased pricing from, modern data set vendors, especially in the orchestration world, you know who to call, or if you know somebody that is, then share this with them, drop us a like, and let us know what you think.